You all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Town Clerk, can we get a roll call?
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. D'Andriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Ms. Smith? Here. Mr. Williams?
Here. So I'd like to call open the public hearing for the 2021 town budget. Why am I getting feedback up here? All right.
Is your
2021 town.
Rich, you have to put the volume. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, sorry, Rich, just lower the.
Sorry about that, Pete. I didn't mean to jump
On the
That's it.
speaker? Check. All right, that seems to work. All right, the 2021 Town Board Budget Hearing Continuation. I would ask at this time if anybody has any questions on the 2021, if you could either address them at the mic, please provide your name and any comments you have, or if there's any member of the public joining us on Zoom, if they have any comments they would like to express.
We do have people on Zoom, but no questions yet.
Hearing none, does any town board member have any questions on the budget?
But I feel like we should have Jeopardy music playing right now, waiting for the people online.
All right, hearing no questions, I'll call for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Somebody would like to audit some bills.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 19 dated October 9th, 2020 in the amount of $210,640.92. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We had some budget transfers, I believe.
We have before us budget transfer number 20, relating to reallocating funds from street lighting contractual and street lighting contractual expense account to transfers capital fund and transfers capital fund expense account. First one's in the amount of $8,641, and the second one is in the amount of $8,077. So I will make a motion that the town board approve that request. You want me to read this resolution?
You can either read it or you can introduce it as we usually do and ask that it be read into the record as read.
Okay. We also have a resolution pertaining to this budget transfer.
So, no. So that is incorrect. So
I'm sorry.
There's two separate actions. One is to approve the budget request, and the other is to approve the, I don't have it in front of me for the correct terminology. Approving the transfer for the amount to be repaid to the capital fund. These are two separate actions.
Okay. So first, I'll make a motion that the town board approve budget transfer request number 20. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I will make a motion that the town board request the transfer of $16,716.73 for amounts to be repaid to the capital fund for the LED conversion project from the lighting districts. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve that. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a budget transfer with regard to employee benefits, state retirement, transferring money from workman's compensation insurance in the amount of $1,188 to the state retirement expense account in the same amount of $1,188. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve budget transfer request 21. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have budget transfer request 22. Reallocating funds to the Patterson District Sewage Treatment Disposal Contract account for the 2020 Speedies permit. So we'll be moving $175 from sewage treatment disposal operations expense account to sewage treatment disposal contract expense account in the amount of $175. I'll make a motion that the town board approve budget transfer request number 22. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Yes, so I'm glad to see that the seniors are getting back out there and getting back to some normal activities. The town of Patterson is sponsoring a senior trip request for the Putnam Lake seniors. The rec center will be hosting a pizza luncheon for them on November 18th, 2020. The total cost for the pizza that they'll be ordering from a Patterson restaurant here, Soros Town Square, is $114, and for the soda, it's $6. The net cost for the town of Patterson is a total of $120. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this $120 fee for the pizza luncheon on 11/18. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Second one is the Christmas party. They'll be hosting that at the Southeast Grill House. Estimated number of participants is 50, and it will be about $36 per person. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the DJ and the Southeast Grill House for a total of $2,200. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. The next item on my agenda is a driveway waiver. Back in the beginning of this year, the driveway permit fee was increased from $75 to $125. But I guess with everything that was going on with the COVID, the fee on the website was not increased to read the correct amount, and there was an application for 2 Kensington Drive submitted on April 14th from the owner, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the permit application in the original fee of $75, and the fee for $75, a one-time waiver for this family that did put their application in prior to the updated $125 fee. So moved.
Second for discussion. I don't think we're allowed to approve this. Number one, I think we determined that we can't gift money to, sorry, apologize, Paul, thank you. I think we've determined that these sorts of waivers we're not allowed to do, and even though it was an honest mistake, we had a public hearing when we did the fee structure change. It's really not, it's a very small amount of money. It sounds like significant work has been expended by, it sounds like the memo says there were significant changes that have occurred which delayed the process.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's only $50, I think it's the point of the matter that I don't think, it's no different than if the building inspector makes a mistake with approving an application, it doesn't then preclude us from correcting that mistake, correct? Right or wrong?
Well, I'm going to
So-
kick this over to the attorney.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's,
I think this situation is interesting because of COVID, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next year in regards to things like fees and items like that, because of the different COVID restrictions and the different time frames that have been extended because of COVID. But in general, waiving fees can be considered a violation of the gift provision of the Constitution, and we have been concerned about that in the past.
Yeah.
I know we discussed it with building permit applications in the past.
So I'd like to just add my 2 cents here, and as a resident and putting in an application fee for any, I do feel as though that it was falsely advertised, at the incorrect amount and therefore misleading the applicant. I do agree with you that we did do it in a board meeting approving it, but I do feel as though that it was only one application and it's $50. And I think that we should, in good faith, if you go into a supermarket and they incorrectly price their items in a flyer, even though it's reflected on the shelf, the right
Yeah.
amount, but the flyer is incorrect, they will honor that, and I think that we should honor that. So I make a motion.
Well, you made a motion.
Well, you already made the
Yeah.
motion.
Seconded.
Mhm.
Pete, Charlie, you have anything you want to throw in on this?
I understand what Sean is saying. I think these are totally unusual times as stated in the memo from the Highway Department. I'm okay with reducing the fee to $75.
Yeah, I'm okay with reducing it. I think it's just different circumstances, and just if it's sometimes people come to us with with an issue or a problem, or they can't pay it, they don't have the money, and they're asking for it. But I think we not falsely advertised, but mistakenly advertised a different price.
And I would agree with that, but, my opinion on this is that the applicant paid what the town advertised as the fee. And unfortunately, we should have been more diligent in making that change and getting it up on the website. We weren't, so it's not like the applicant is requesting a reduced amount of the fee. He paid what we had told him he needed to pay.
Mhm.
So, all right, we've got a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, I'm opposed just on advice of counsel and past practice, but I understand the situation.
Okay, Mary, is that it?
I think so.
Okay. Mr. D'Andriano?
All right, first item I have is Route 311 and 184. So I have a memo here from our supervisor to the town board. 2012, the town of Patterson undertook road improvements to New York State Route 311. Majority of the improvements were paid for by the above-mentioned multi-model grant. The balance of the cost of the project was paid for from an escrow account established with the town by Paul Camarda, Patterson Crossing LLC. The project has been completed and there remains $7,962.75 held by the town in the escrow account, which needs to be returned to Paul Camarda, Patterson Crossing LLC. So I'd like to make a motion to release the money out of escrow, $7,962.75 to Paul Camarda, Patterson Crossing LLC. So moved.
Second?
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, we're not sitting next to each
It's
other.
Thursday.
So while we're out on 311 and 84, I guess we'll bring up you wanted me to bring this up as well, the grant?
You may if you would like to do that.
So we have here, we got a grant, a SAM grant, is that what this is?
Yes.
From New York State for $1,415,000 to make improvements at that location, 311 and 84. If you remember back when they originally did a lot of that work, I think it was with the intent to have more work done, but since Patterson Crossing hasn't been built, nothing else was done. So, I know we talked about this on the Traffic Safety Board several times. I know Councilman Kent brought this up as well a couple years ago, how when they redid that whole area, the visibility when you're coming off the ramps was actually worsened. It was actually harder to see. The stop lines were farther back and things were changed. It was actually harder when you got off the ramps to look left, make sure there's any oncoming traffic. So we did get this grant. So we do have a resolution here too. Do you want to mention more about the project, or?
Well, the project is just a continuation, as you mentioned, of the road improvements that we started. It was unfortunate we did those road improvements with the anticipation that Patterson Crossing was going to finish the road improvements out there. That was back in 2012. Here we are 2020, and there's no sign of Patterson Crossing moving forward at this time. But this is certainly going to help encourage Patterson Crossing to move forward. So I would encourage the board to support this project, and there's a lot of steps that have to go into it. I don't anticipate we're going to be starting anytime soon. And one of those is we're going to have to do an intermunicipal agreement, as we did in 2011 with Mr. Camarda, to pay any overage and to pay any cost that the town's going to incur. Because we're not going to go forward with this and take money out of the pockets of our taxpayers to, do something that's going to benefit that project. But I would encourage the board to support this and move forward.
So we do have a resolution here authorizing submission of the State Municipal Facilities Program grant for highway improvements to Route 311. The resolution approves the submission of the application documents as required by DASNY. It authorizes the town supervisor to submit all paperwork and all documentation as needed, and so on. So I'd like to make a motion to approve, accept, and file this resolution as read for the amount, for the grant, for the amount of $1,415,000. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Peter.
So next I have is Willow Island in Putnam Lake. So we were approached, I guess it was by the current owner of the island, requesting to build a walkway, a bridge from the island to the shore to give access to the island. I guess it would just make it easier when they to sell it. I think there's some people that were interested in purchasing it and would like to have some kind of a walkway or a bridge. So they didn't give a lot of specifics. They didn't give us anything on the design of the bridge, right? They just kind of said
They gave us a preliminary design, just a rough idea that it's going to look something like the docks we put in at Warren Beach.
So it was also, so the Putnam Lake Park Advisory Board brought this up at their meeting as well. They are against it. They feel there's a liability. It blocks passage for boats in that area if they want to be going around the island and so on. So I think before we talk about it, I just want to bring this to our council, questions to our council. What's the liability of this bridge and problems?
I think it's certainly something that we would be concerned about. I know we've talked about in the past, they would have to give us insurance that covers, there'd have to be a license agreement, because they would be connecting to Park District property, and there'd have to be insurance coverage. But when you're talking about cutting off access that people have had previously, with any riparian rights that other residents of the lake might have, would be something that we would be concerned about. And also, even with insurance coverage in place, if people aren't used to there being a bridge there, you could potentially have substantial accidents, if, people getting used to that, that flow in the time frame that it's put in. So I think there's right to be a lot of concern about it without more significant understanding of what the plan is and how if they intend to put it in a way that's somehow not going to block off others' access to use the waterway there.
If I own the island, I don't know if I would want a bridge, and that's kind of the point of having an island, especially, I don't know, does anyone ever live there full time, or is it mostly like a seasonal
It's more seasonal.
residence? So if they're not there all the time, you have a walkway right to the place for kids to go hang out in, even people fishing off the bridge that, what if someone gets hurt while they're fishing off the bridge?
For children walking across.
All right.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing the Park District brought up too is how would it be ensured that others wouldn't be walking across that bridge all the time? And that wouldn't be on the town to enforce that, but it's still something to be concerned about.
Anybody else?
I agree with your point that I think it would become an attractive nuisance, and I think that you would end up probably with potential for vandalism and other things that would occur that, right, I mean, there's nothing stopping someone from going out in a boat and pulling ashore on the island, but that's a little different than just jumping over a fence or a gate and having a full, you know, access to somebody's private property where they know no one's there for part of the year. I think, first of all, I appreciate everyone's input, and also including the Park Advisory Board, which we would rely on for their, you know, their concerns. So I'm not in favor of it, quite honestly. I don't think it's a good idea. And I think there's a lot of buyers out there, and there are buyers for every property. And the uniqueness, as you mentioned, of having an island getaway like that it's something very special. You know,
I agree with both you guys. I think there could be a lot of security, safety issues by putting a bridge in. We also have the factor of it would terminate on one end by the on town property. So there's issues of liability. So I'm not in favor of it.
An issue also that's come up in the past when we've done similar license agreements is that most homeowners insurance won't add the town as additional insured, so the property owner would likely have to get a commercial policy just for whatever, because of that bridge. And it might be very difficult in a situation like this to get additional insurance on something that can be so problematic.
Well, I want to echo everybody's feelings on this. I also am not in favor of this, but I want to just add one more thing in there. If we ever do any maintenance, you know, on the lake bottom out in that area, that bridge may be, you know, a detriment to our completing that. May
Either
inhibit
way.
our ability to do any maintenance out there. So,
Good point.
Yeah.
so-
Well, I think also everyone, when you think about the lake, you think about the summer, but what happens in the winter? You know, and now it's a hazard, you know, if kids are going out there and getting on the lake where they shouldn't, it's not frozen, or, you know, it's just too much of a liability.
agreed.
Okay, I will respond back to the individual who made the inquiry.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, Charles.
Thank you. Next, we have a request from our town assessor, Pippa. I want to ask, this file cabinet was bought already, or is this?
No, it's not.
Okay. So what we have before us is two things. One, to approve this purchase of a file cabinet for the assessor's office. And second, that with costs going up, that relative to the budget lines in the assessor's office, they come up $67 short. So my take is that we should approve the purchase of the file cabinet for the assessor's office, knowing that we'll have a budget transfer coming along with regard to $67. So with that in mind, I will make a motion that the town board approves the purchase of a file cabinet and the reallocation of the $67 within the assessor's budget. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Supervisor, I could take care of the,
You want to do it in other business
yeah.
when we get there?
Oh, okay. I'm good.
John?
Okay, thank you. So back a few months ago, we had approved the invitation to bid for our winter storm maintenance for our sidewalks and our sewer treatment facilities and water districts, and we did not get any bids. So we are looking to reissue the invitation to bid with a new bid due date of November 12th, 2020 at 10 a.m. So I'll make a motion that we authorize the town clerk to advertise for the invitation to bid for the winter sidewalk maintenance for Patterson Hamlet and the snow removal for sewer and water districts. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Is there a reason why no one put bids in, or is this just no one was interested?
I only contacted one vendor who has worked with the town in the past on this, and his response, he just missed it.
Oh, okay.
And the second item, just a point of clarification, there was just a typo on the agenda. It's sanitation refuse district number 2 that we are,
Thank you
right?
for
Not
that,
number
yeah.
1. And I don't want that to be any kind of a confusion. And we are looking, this is for the invitation to bid for the refuse disposal via the transfer station. So for the board and anyone else's edification, this is simply where our town employees, when they collect refuse, they transfer that over to a facility where it is then handled. That's all it is. We're not talking about overall garbage collection for the town, for Putnam Lake, or for the rest of the town at this point in time. So it's just simply for that bid. The bid has within it the ability to bid for 1 year, 3-year, or 5-year terms, with the ability to extend that contract for up to 3 years with consent from both parties. So I will make a motion that we approve the bid specs and authorize the town clerk to advertise for this bid for refuse disposal via transfer station for garbage district number 2, issued today and due back November 12th, 2020 by 2 p.m. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
How many transfer stations are there in the area? Do you know?
I don't know. I know of 3, but I don't know actually how many there physically are.
If it's farther, then it's just more gas and more.
Well, I think the bid spec requires them to be within 30 minutes of the town of Patterson, correct?
30 miles.
Or 30 miles, that's
Oh.
what I meant. I'm sorry, 30 miles, not 30 minutes. Yeah.
Close, similar.
Depends on how quick you drive. Yeah.
And with the garbage truck, you should be careful.
Yeah, right,
Can't go
right.
too fast.
Exactly.
Okay, we have before us a resolution for the adoption of the final budget for 2021. Before I introduce this, does any board member have anything they wish to discuss on the budget at this time?
Not a discussion of the particulars, but simply a acknowledgement that the board, especially Rich, you and Patricia Brooks and everyone else from the department heads down on through has worked tirelessly to bring this budget in very difficult times, as everybody knows. And obviously it's a challenging budget cycle. We may be in for a bigger surprise next year as well, we don't know. So very difficult times, but Rich, I think you and your leadership team throughout the town of Patterson deserve praise. And I thank you for that.
No, thank you for that, but it's always a team effort, and, you know, the town board is definitely a significant part of that team. All of us working together, we work together very, very well.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to introduce this resolution for the adoption of the final budget for 2021. Ask the town clerk that it be entered into the minutes as though read. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All that work and it ends that quickly.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah, right, just thinking that. Yeah, just like Christmas.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Okay, other business. Does any town board member have any other business they wish to bring up at this time? Everybody pick one. Fortunately, we've got a lot. You want me to start it off?
Let's start off with the election day policy. That's a good one.
All right. So, last year, if everybody remembers, the state adopted an election, a new law which mandated the towns give all employees 3 hours off paid leave upon an employee's request, no restrictions. They've since, I believe, seen the error of their ways and amended the law this year, which I just became recently aware of, to say that, yes, everybody's entitled to 3 hours off, but only if they don't have an area of 4 hours during time polls are open to go vote. So being as most of our employees are let out by 5 o'clock, everybody should have enough time to go vote. We last year changed our employee handbook to acknowledge that everybody was going to get 3 hours off. I believe it was 3 hours off on election day. But with the change in the state law, we don't need to follow through on that. So I wanted to get everybody's feedback on whether we should continue that policy this year, or in the future and what you would like to do with it.
Well, I think this year, clearly, we're already seeing that a great number of people are going to be voting early and voting also by mail. And so even this year, more than ever, I think it's not as necessary as it might have been when it was considered initially.
I think it's, go ahead, Charlie.
I think the flip side to that coin is that where you see the mail-in and you see the early voting and stuff, the early voting lines are very, very long. So, I mean, on this one, I could go either way, because I think that, and it's now a short period of time, election a couple weeks away. I would extend what we did last year to this year, and then, because it's kind of soon, that's all.
Yeah, I agree, because maybe some people, I know maybe they didn't file an absentee ballot, or maybe they made plans to vote on election day. I think it's just too close this year, but I would like to maybe going forward, the new January 1st, the new policy.
Do you ever feel like the swing vote, Mary?
Well, I think it's nice to encourage them to go out and vote. I think that it's important to give them the time. Personally, myself, I get up early and I go before I get to work, just because I don't want to wait on any line. But I think it would be a nice gesture to let them go 1 hour early so that they could go vote on their way home. I don't think that they need 3 hours. It's not a,
I just think it's too close to
not a
election.
tough decision.
Too close now. I mean, we're changing the rules.
Yeah.
You know, like a week, was it 2 weeks before election day? A week and a half?
It's a week and a half, but, you know, if, so the polls open at 6 o'clock. Employees don't show up for work till 9 o'clock. They have plenty of time to vote before. They get out at 5 o'clock. Some of them live locally, most of them do not, but they get out at 5 o'clock. They could be home in their neighborhoods by 6 o'clock. They have plenty of time, if they're truly interested in voting, to go vote. I was not in favor of this measure when the governor first proposed it. I am certainly not in favor of it now. I will always, you know, in my decision, err on the side of the taxpayer, and, you know, giving the employees time that they really don't need to go vote. And I want to be very clear, I want everybody to vote. I think it's a right, I think it's an obligation, and I believe that they should, you know, take that seriously and should go out and vote. But I believe they also, all our employees have sufficient time in which to go do that. So I'm going to make a motion that we rescind this policy effective immediately, and also, as a compromise, allow our employees to leave 1 hour early this year. That's my motion.
Second.
Well, see, you have to, since you brought up the compromise, because I think that's a great compromise. I would have supported the motion without the compromise. Since you seconded, just quick discussion. There was a time when we had all election days off as a contractual holiday.
Yes.
And then they cut it back to only presidential election years. And all of these were done in negotiations to get other things. They were other holidays that were added. We used to get all present. Things change over time. And at some point in time, it was decided election day wasn't as important as some of these other I don't mean as important, but they were contractually negotiated out of it. I mean, I remember when I first started in my job, we got every election day off, and then we changed it. And I agree with it's out of an abundance of respect for everybody, but I think there's so much time and so much availability for people to do what takes 10 minutes to go, you know.
I agree with that, but I think what happens is, and not to drag this out, but you know, most people are in a routine. They leave the house at a certain time, they get to work at a certain time. Oh shoot, I should have stopped and voted. You get in your car, you get all the way home, you get out of the car. Oh shoot, I should have went and voted. So I guess it helps to encourage and also assist the person to make it to that polls.
You know, I almost want to ask if everyone would consider an amendment to the motion that would allow employees who need to take the time, that it's not just closing work
Right.
early, because that was the way it was rolled out, was there was availability of 3 hours. We took a different tact, but there was availability of the hours, and in the group of 30, 25 people that I work with, only one person even requested it last year. Everybody else managed to go vote, and they didn't feel the need to take advantage of what was probably a poorly thought out policy. I'm willing to vote for the way it is, but I think an amendment would be willing to give people an hour for those that request it, rather than just making it closing town hall an hour early. Because quite honestly, there's, like yourself, there's probably a lot of people who will vote either in the morning or after work, and I just find it, as you said, Rich, it's, I agree with what you said about the, it being an unnecessary,
And I agree with you.
Allowance.
I agree with all that.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's fair in the 11th hour, a week and a half before the
Yeah.
date, to take away that benefit that we
Yeah.
promised the employees. Also, now we're taking away that 3 hours benefit that we promised them. We're just taking it away.
yeah.
That's why I.
Well, and that's why I think it's, if somebody requested it, I would even go with, if somebody requested and said, hey, this is what's going on, I need 2 hours because, so that I can go and vote, the kids are doing that, whatever, then I think that's a reasonable request. I just think the whole thing, when was it rolled out last year, when this came out? What
Oh, God,
month?
probably August, September.
It was the same kind of thing, it
No,
rolled out
it had to be
for,
September.
it
Yeah.
rolled out in poor timing, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, I apologize, like you said, for belaboring it. It's really more on principle than anything.
I think it's a lot cleaner for the supervisor to manage town hall.
Yeah.
If you just, the way he made the motion, that we rescind the policy, but we're allowing people to go home an hour earlier.
So, and if, since you don't have to change, so you're rescinding the policy in the employee handbook, but then you're basically saying that for this year, you're gonna do almost like when we do for snowstorms, you're just gonna say, I'm gonna close town hall an hour early,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Aye,
All in favor?
aye.
Nay.
Thank you.
Can I take the Patterson
Got me as a
Putnam
nay.
Lake Fire Department?
Island. Got
Sure.
me as a nay.
Sorry.
Got me as a nay.
He said no.
He voted against it, he's
voted no.
opposed.
I voted on.
I gotcha.
So I'm pleased to announce that the Putnam Lake Fire Department has accepted a new member to their crew. Her name is Haley Sudol, and I'd like to make a motion to enter Haley Sudol as an official member of the Putnam Lake Fire Department. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. You guys want me to do the solid waste management deal?
Do you, this?
Let me do the other.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Michael Brill Jr. and Michael Brill III as members of the Putnam Lake Fire Department as well. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we have a letter from the solid waste management coordinator, program coordinator from the health department that essentially is saying that we are looking to, she is looking to reboot the next 10-year, if you will, like a master plan for where Putnam County is going with solid waste management. I think it's a great opportunity for all of the towns to be involved so that there is, no different than when we do a master plan for the town, that we look at what everyone is currently doing and what we can do better and differently for the future. And so this letter is simply requesting that the town authorize or support someone to represent the town of Patterson. Also, we can ask if we'd like for someone from the community, if someone is so interested. I naturally automatically think of Russ or someone like that being involved because he's our administrator, but it's up to the town to decide who that representative could be. It should not be me, of course, because I already have another role in this, but essentially it's looking to have a launch meeting to talk about getting the ball rolling, because our new solid waste management plan is due at the end of the year, plus or minus, for the DEC. And that should set some goals and some ideas for the future. So, anyone, Rich, you have any ideas of who you'd want?
Yes, I do. So Russ,
Sure.
you gonna do it?
Yeah, no.
Well, you're not going anywhere. It's
It's
it'll be
virtual.
a conference call. Yeah, we'll get you the info.
I was actually gonna suggest somebody else over at your office.
Or both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, someone's gotta set up the Zoom meeting.
Huh?
Someone's gotta set up the Zoom meeting.
It's, well, it's even just, I think it's just a phone call, so it's just a conference line, so it's just a dial.
It's not a Zoom?
No, I don't think so. I think we're just doing a conference call. We have a line that's already set up that we can just disseminate. It's easy. You just dial in and speak when you want to speak and whatever.
All right, I
Cool.
will forward Margot the information.
Great.
Thank you. Excellent. All right, that's that.
How about we address a receiver of taxes
I was
request?
just about to say that. I'm not feeling a lot of like, you know, she's sitting right here and we're not taking care of that issue.
Save the best for last.
That's right.
But it's not last now. So
No.
go ahead, you're up.
All right, we've had a request from our receiver of taxes to shift some money around in the tax receiver's office. And basically, it's a request, a budget transfer of funds of $1,248 from...
Charlie, the money is already there. All we need to do is approve the additional hours.
Okay. Request, all right, so I'll make a motion, the town board approve the request and increasing the deputy tax receiver's hours in 2020 to 375 hours. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done.
Great.
One more. So we've received a request from Robert McCarthy, Director of Code Enforcement Hours. As you know, they've gotten a tremendous amount of title searches in, and the part-time help that we have in the building department has exhausted all her hours, and they're still struggling to find a way to deal with the extra work that they have. They've requested that the town approve an additional 15 hours per pay period for the building department clerk to deal with the additional workload. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the additional 15 hours of pay period for Mary Charteau in the building department.
Second, with a comment.
Go ahead.
I agree, except I don't think we should approve taking a shortened lunch break. If Mary wants to come in at 8:30 or stay until 5:30, fine. But I don't think we should be approving taking a shortened lunch break.
What was the rule is they have to take a half-hour lunch break, correct?
You have to take a
So
half-hour
that's-
lunch break
yeah.
in a 6-hour period. They are currently allocated a 1-hour lunch break.
I'm okay with a half hour. I think it should be at Mary's discretion. If she wants to take an hour and wants to come in, as you're saying, come in a little bit earlier, my guess is she's not gonna wanna do that because it just extends her day out. But I think you're right, Charlie, and I think that's what the department should have the option to do at all times as a manager.
I think fixed hours just makes it easier to track. So, if, how do we know coming early, coming later,
We check it.
Yep.
Okay.
This
I'm
is
here. I'm
15,
here.
15 hours of pay period till the end of the year. Is that what we're approving?
Yes.
Just need a
Good
vote.
point. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay, I believe, does anybody else have any other business? All right, in our quest to return to normal, the Patterson Recreation Center is having an outdoor tag sale Saturday, October 24th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Rec Center.
This weekend,
You want me to hold this up?
for our viewers on YouTube, but. we should
Oh,
have
this is
gotten that
great.
2 weeks ago.
Trying to
Do you
hold
know
it
how
straight on the
many
screen.
tables they have rented, Rich?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know how many tables they have rented? Is it
I
a big
believe they've
turnout?
got better than half rented.
Wow,
Wow.
that's good.
October 24th,
That's good, Rich.
9 to 3.
Trying to hold it straight and watch the screen at the same time is not working. Okay, we are down to public recognition. Does any member of our immediate audience or our Zoom audience have any questions they'd like to ask?
Roll that soundbite
We got
music.
two members there, but nobody's saying anything. Georgette and Laura?
Okay. Yep, no, I see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing coming in.
Motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.